Today, we're digging into one of the biggest questions of our time, this fundamental, kind of weird contradiction that sits right at the heart of the AI economy.
Look, we've all heard the pitch, right? On one hand, the vision for artificial intelligence is nothing short of world-changing. We're told it's going to kickstart an era of unbelievable productivity and solve some of humanity's most wicked problems.
And the numbers, they're just staggering. McKinsey put out a report estimating that AI could pump an extra $13 trillion into the global economy by 2030. That's like boosting GDP growth by 1.2% every single year. But, and this is the big but, here's the paradox. The very same engine that promises all this abundance might have a fatal flaw built right into it. The drive for hyper-efficiency that makes AI so powerful could, believe it or not, end up breaking the economic system it's supposed to supercharge. To really get why, we first have to look at the most obvious, immediate impact of mass automation, what it does to human jobs.
And we are not talking about a small disruption here. Goldman Sachs crunched the numbers and suggested AI could replace the equivalent of 300 million full-time jobs. Just think about that. That's about a quarter of all the work tasks in the US and Europe potentially just automated away.
You know, economists have a term for this. It's called the displacement effect. It's just a fancy way of saying that as machines and AI take over tasks that people used to do, the demand for human workers and the wages they get paid tends to go down. It's pretty straightforward.
And that displacement, well, that's what kicks off the whole problem. It can create a really dangerous feedback loop that some are calling the AI consumption spiral.
It all boils down to one simple, critical question. One that, frankly, it seems like a lot of capitalists are overlooking. If your whole business strategy is to automate your customers out of a job to save money, who's going to be left with any money to buy your stuff?
This is the AI capitalism paradox. It's this wild situation where a bunch of individually smart decisions, like a company cutting labor costs to look good for shareholders, all add up to a collectively disastrous outcome, the complete destruction of the consumer base that the entire system depends on.
And you can see how this creates a vicious downward spiral. First, companies automate to slash costs. Step 2, lots of people lose their paychecks, which means they stop spending. Step 3, overall demand for everything just collapses. And here's the kicker. In response to those terrible sales, firms are forced to cut costs even more, which means, you guessed it, more automation. And the cycle just keeps feeding itself.
Okay, so really wrapping your head around these feedback loops is absolutely crucial to understanding what's at stake. And hey, if you're getting value out of this breakdown, it would be awesome if you could take just a second to like and subscribe. It really helps us keep making more deep dives like this.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Every time a new technology comes along, people freak out about jobs, right? We've heard this story for centuries. So what makes this time any different?
It's a classic argument called the Luddite Fallacy. The idea is that, yeah, technology definitely destroys some jobs, but the economic growth it creates has always ended up creating even more new, different jobs somewhere else down the line. It has always worked out in the end. So economists basically see this as a big tug of war. On one side, you've got the displacement effect, which we just talked about, pulling people out of jobs. But on the other side, there's always been this reinstatement effect, where new tech creates totally new tasks and industries that only humans can do, pulling them back into the workforce.
But here's the potential game changer. The reason this time might actually be different is all about speed and scale. As one analysis puts it, the real issue is that AI can learn a new job way faster than a person can retrain for one. That reinstatement effect just can't keep up if the goalposts are moving that quickly.
So what happens if that historical balancing act, that tug-of-war, finally breaks? Well then, we're facing some really profound questions about how our entire economy is designed.
This could send us down a few pretty wild paths. One is just a total demand collapse, a world with endless supply but nobody to buy it. Another is a state some are calling techno-feudalism, where a tiny new ruling class owns all the AI and basically extracts cloud rents instead of earning profits. Or the third path is that we actually get ahead of this and consciously adapt our policies for this new world.
And that brings us to the big one everyone talks about, Universal Basic Income, or UBI. The whole point of UBI is to tackle that demand crisis head-on. By giving everyone a basic, regular income, you make sure people can still be consumers, even if they don't have a traditional job.
It really boils down to this fundamental truth. Our current system, capitalism, just assumes there will always be consumers.
If people stop earning money from jobs on a massive scale, the market can't fix that by itself. The only way to distribute value then is through deliberate policy choices.
So at the end of the day, the biggest challenge AI throws at us isn't technological at all. It's a test for us. It's a test of whether our economic systems and social structures can evolve fast enough to finally separate a person's intrinsic value from their role as a worker.